What is up, YouTube? HPJ here. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. Sorry, I want to spray some air freshener in my room. I hope you are doing well. It's been a minute since I did an IRL Harpie deck profile that wasn't Restful. And I'm doing one for the Harpies, for the TCG and OCG. So just understand this is not the Primite version unless you want to pay for it. But as we all know, at the time of recording, the Primite cards are getting some reprints in Battles of Legends, Monsters, Mayhem. So maybe if I get the chance and I pick some of those up, which I am thinking of, I'll definitely, see how that works out for me. I know many of you are probably going to be very excited to see my variation and take on Primite Harpie, which, just for the record, it's not going to be very, very competitive, but as many of you know, I'm not a competitive player. I'm just a run-of-the-mill casual who likes to help out the community. So with that said and done, it's time to go ahead and get into a look at my variation and update for my Harpie deck for 2025. So let's go ahead and do that. Shout outs to the Harpies. So starting off is my monster lineup, and this consists of 3 copies of Harpie Perfumer, Harpie Channeler, and Harpie Lady 1. So these are my 3s for my Harpies. Then I'm going in with 2 copies of Harpie's Pet Dragon, Fierce on Fire, 2 copies of Harpie Oracle, 1 Harpie Lady Sisters, and 1 Harpie Harpist. And that rounds out my monsters for the Harpies. But then I got these guys over here, my hand traps, my 2 Melcharmy Phallos, and my 3 copies of the lovely Ash Blossom in Joyous Spring. So there are my babies. It's my 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. My 20 monsters. Alright, and that just leaves all the spells and traps. So starting off with the spells, we're running 3 copies of Hysteric Sign, 3 copies of Elite Egotist. That's Forbidden Droplet. That is in the deck. 1 Harpie's Feather Duster, 1 Harpie's Feather S, and 1 Harpie's Hunting Ground. And then for the rest of the cards, I'm running 2 copies, no, 1 copy each of Swallow's Carré and Swallow's Nest. And then I'm running 2 copies of Forbidden Droplet. So yeah, that is my spell lineup. And then for my traps, hold on, I get to it in just a second. I forgot everything was all discombobulated, disorganized. So that's just me. For my traps, 3 copies of Imperm, 3 copies of Featherstorm, and 1 copy of Hysteric Party. So that is it for all my cards. That is a total of 40 in the main deck. Then for the extra is the 2 copies of Cyber / Harpie, followed by the 1 copy of Harpie Conductor, 1 copy of Winnie the Wind Charmer Vertant, 1 copy of Heavis Vulgar, the Desperate Doom Eagle, 1 copy of IP Masquerena, 1 SB Little Knight. Sorry, I forgot their order. 1 copy of Nightmare Unicorn, 1 copy of the Ashes Code Talker, 1 copy of Harpie's Pet Phantasmal Dragon, 1 copy of she's right there. 1 copy of Lightning Chidori, 1 Ice Beast Zero Fine, 1 Ray Arthur Arsenal Falcon, 1 Superstar Slayer Typhoon, the Sky Crisis, and 1 copy of Divine Arsenal, Double Azu Sky Thunder. So that lines up everything in my extra deck and in my main deck. 15 in the extra, 40 in the main. Let's go ahead and go through it. We're going to start off with the extra deck. With the Harpie extra deck monsters, we have Cyber Slash, we have Harpie Conductor, and we have Harpie's Pet Phantasmal Dragon. These are the Harpie extra deck kin. These monsters definitely help build up the Harpie extra deck. Cyber / Harpie Lady, our current boss monster. She can be synchroed by using a Harpie Lady as a tuner, and then being able to not only treat herself as Harpie Lady while she's on the field or in the graveyard, but also being able to, when a spell, trap, or monster effect activates on the field, in that targets it, she's able to either return a Harpie from the field to the hand, or a monster your opponent controls to the hand. And it's great for removal. It's great for just being a big body on the board. A beat stick, access with Hysteric Sign and Hysteric Party and various other cards as well. It's just, we love Cyber / Harpie Lady. Harpie Conductor, our defensive monster. She can send spells and traps to the grave to protect all Harpies from being targeted. Being destroyed by battle or card effect once a turn. And still a great access for link monsters, especially for the Harpies, because this is how we get a lot of our link setup going, or just a bit of protection. Harpie's Pet Phantasmal Dragon, another protective wall, but can also attack our opponent directly, can easily deal with so many different advances. We love Harpie's Pet Phantasmal Dragon as our go-to rush-in win condition, especially with how we generate so many monsters on the board. So that is it for the Harpie extra deck. Then for the rest of them, for the win monsters, I'm running the one Winnie, the one Heaven's Vulgar. Winnie is just here to be an advent for things and just another win extra. I mean, you can play Great Fly if you want to. If you want the additional buff and you just want to beat down your opponent, perfectly fine. Heaven's Vulgar, on the other hand, the Desperate Doom Eagle. Listen, if this was TCG does not have the one monster we do want, and that is Samora, the Bird of Sovereignty, who's been banned for what? Is it 4 years now? 3-4 years now? It's kind of getting old. Let's be real. Let's be honest. I'm tired of Desperate Doom Eagle, and the only reason why he's here is because I've run into some situations where my deck needs a Link 3, and Unicorn is out the option because, unfortunately, you'll end up being locked and stunned into Harpie's Feather Storm. Harpie's Feather Rest. And while Samorg was the option to go into, and of course I had my plays to going into Samorg, the Doom Eagle, limited to only wind, then only really having big buff because of your opponent having no monsters in the extra deck. The graveyard tends to be, it has a lot of Achilles heels. It's only really here because, like I said, I needed a win 3 to go into, and at least the real benefit of it is that it bounces cards from the graveyard back into the deck, so it gets over a lot of things, which is fine. So woo, yay. All right, moving from there, in the lot of disappointment that I have, IP Masquerena and SP Little Knight. I love these two in tandem. They're really good Link monsters. They're probably one of the most iconic of the Link monsters because of their abilities. SP Little Knight, when she is Link summoned and you use any other variant of monsters from the extra deck as part of her material, you can get rid of a card on her Link summon, which is great. She has that once per turn of banishing cards and then they come back, so it disrupts plays there. It's just a lot of really cool things with SP Little Knight. IP Masquerena gives protection to the Link monster that she helps bring out to the board, which is awesome. It's just a lot of really cool things with IP Masquerena and the Little Knight setups. And I love going into an IP Masquerena and then having the monsters on the field at the end of the turn, and then I can just link into stuff like my access code, or I can play my Nightmare Unicorn, or I can go get my Little Knight and then have the disruptions going on from there and have them protected. So that is safe and sure there. And then speaking of Unicorn, I love Unicorn for the bounce. It's a great addition. And then the access code talker, who basically just helps win the board. From there, we go into my Exceeds package. There is no, what is that guy's name? Mega Fan of Beast Draco Sack, although Draco Sack is a good addition. I just opted for just having my regular Harpie lineup for my extra deck, with the Exceed editions of, Chidori and Zero Fine. We have Raid Raptor to help us search out for those Harpies that are in the main deck, get those Wingy Beasts onto the field as soon as possible. And then we have Star Slayer Typhoon, and then we have Zeus, which definitely help out in the Exceed package to clear out things or to deal with some monsters that you don't want to deal with. Just like I said, this extra deck changes all the time, so you may see Typhoon, you may not see Typhoon. It just depends on how I feel, but I have something stable for the extra deck for right now. So that is pretty much it. That's all the extra deck cards for that. And now we go into the main deck. And I know this is the coup de grace that everyone has been waiting for. So I'm going to start off with my 3 of Harpies. Harpie Perfumer, Harpie Channeler, and Harpie Lady 1. So Harpie Channeler, of course, no need for her introduction. She's still one of the best setups for the Harpies. She's one of your 2 opening plays now because we have Perfumer. And with Channeler being able to discard your Harpie monster, she sets the graveyard, and then she's able to, go into these rank 7s, put the dragon onto the field. She can go into your rank 4s, your rank 2s. There's just so many varieties of things that Harpie Channeler helps the Harpie archetype do, and she does it well. Harpie Perfumer, we love her for the ability to search for ourselves in chats. It specifically lists Harpie Lady Sisters in its text. And when you control that level 5 or higher Harpie, she's able to grab two cards instead of 1, but they have to share different names, which is perfectly fine too. Both on a normal or a special summon, so it really works out well with Harpie Perfumer. And Harpie Lady 1, she's going to be my choice of Harpie Lady for the deck because she gives the additional 300 attack to all my wind monsters. She just very much just helps out with a lot of things, and she rocks. I mean, you can play Cyber Harpie if you want to. There are builds that play the vanilla Harpie Lady for obvious reasons, but my build right now just plays Harpie Lady 1, and I'm happy with it. Alright, so going on from there are the rest of the Harpie monsters for the main deck, and that is Harpie's Pet Dragon, Fearsome Fire, Harpie Oracle, the Harpie Lady Sisters, and Harpie Harpist. So, excuse me, with these in combination, I'm only running 1 sister and 1 Harpist. I feel like there's no need to run multiples of this. This isn't a build that's working with Harpie Lady Sisters as a key component. It's just basically just you use her for all the additional abilities that you need a level 7 or higher monster. I know a lot of Harpie decks that I've seen online have started to drop sisters just to play Harpie's Pet Dragon, Fearsome Fire as a 3 of. Perfectly fine, go for it if you want to. It's up to you. I was considering myself just because that'd be another additional search or an additional monster you can bring to the board with all these other Harpies that are in play. For the, the link summons and the setups for Channeler and stuff like that, it's perfectly fine. But I think I just prefer the 2 of. I am already running sisters. FFB isn't a brick like its original. And there's still a lot of things you can do with it. Similar to Harpie Oracle in that single sense, where these 2 are the extenders. And as long as you have the monsters on the field with the required levels, you can easily go into that. I've always said this, and I'll still continue to say it. I think Harpies need their own Cyber Dragon. And it'll really push the mold for the Harpie archetype. Especially with a lot of combos and games and setups with early play. We don't have to run unexpected dice and stuff. We can actually just float in our Harpie monsters if need be. So that's pretty much it for these 2. I've said what I've said about this one, and this one is just here as discard fodder for a lot of cards and effects, and then she in face can search for her pieces, our oracles, our channelers, perfumers, and stuff like that. Then we go into the hand traps, and I know this is where you guys really have questions for me. I was only able to get to Phallos. Phallos, for the most part, like I said in the video when I talked about the Melcharmews, they're good hand traps to fit in for the hand trap we can't have. And the hand trap we can't have in the TCG, of course, is the one they just semi-limited in the OCG. This card immediately just helps you with reconstructing your hand and getting to pieces if need be. It still can be blocked by stuff like Ash Blossom, but that's why we run Featherstorm to counteract that. It's still a pretty good monster, and as you can see, I found ways to at least try to get into it. But from, the repertoire of things that are going on, Phallos is Phallos, and honestly, I just had it here to show off. There are other Harpie cards I would added into this, I would, and if, combination of things were said to be said, this is a monster I probably would just cite it. I'm not gonna lie, but it's at least here to just say, hey, look, if you want to run it, this is how a build of mine would have ran it in that consistency. And we all know about Ash Blossom. I'm not gonna explain Ash because we know who she is. We know how she gets down. All right. that is it for the monsters. We're now going to go into my spells. The triple sign and the triple ego are definitely the key staples of spells. Ego allows you to summon your Harpie lady or sisters to the board, and then you get your plays from there. Hysteric sign can get ego from the deck of grave, and then ego's additional effect, when it's sent from the field or hand to the grave, the end phase, you can add your 3 Harpie cards. Note that yes, you cannot do both actions at the same turn because this card is a hard only once per turn ability on it. And it really just, my whole thing with this card in its setup is just to make sure that either you go get your ego as fast as possible, or you send it off to the grave if you need to, if you already have the ego, or you play your first ego with your Harpie combo, and then you go get your other ego, or get it back from the graveyard with the sign. So many possibilities and so many things. And this card works really well with so many cards in the deck. Harpie's Feather Duster to remove all those spells and traps. Feather S as our Pot of Avarice. And then Harpie's Hunting Ground for more spell and trap removal, which is more for the spot, not the massive like Feather Duster does. Swallow's Cowray and Swallow's Nest. I think a lot of people are going to ask me about this. I am only running one of each because I didn't want to fit in, the doubles and setups and the triples and all of that. And Cowray, I've always had my disdain for it for one particular reason. I'm already running enough minuses. If the plus of adding something to my hand is that, I'm only adding it to get out of dodge with another effect. Like I said, if Harpies had more floaters, it'd be perfectly fine. We wouldn't have these issues, and there'd be a lot of easier things to work around with. We just unfortunately don't have those. Swallow's Nest is here to swap out, similar to Cowray. They're here to swap the monsters that's on the field to get monsters of the same level onto the field or back into the hand. It's just a get out of dodge free situation with them. And then Forbidden Droplets, just more negation with the ability to send cards from your hand or field to the grave, so you can easily deal with negation if need be. A lot of negation. Even on casual levels, we have to deal with a lot of negation. Alright, so that is it for my spells, and into my traps, which is just going to be fairly simple. Infinity Impermanence to negate monster effects. You can play this card from your hand when you control no cards, and then easily help you deal with cards in your opponent's spell and trap zone to be negated, and just a great start, just a great negation against your opponent. Harpie's Feather Storm, we love it, we hate it, it's here, and it's still one of the best Harpie combo cards because it's basically here to protect your Harpies from your opponent's monster effects. It's there to shut them down to the end of the turn, and you can of course go get your Harpie's Feather Duster from the graveyard if it's sent by your opponent's spells or traps. Card effects while it's sent to the graveyard, but we mostly use it just like most other decks, just for the monster negation. We do know, yes, that there are decks that are fitting in Harpie engines to try to play this card, primarily Primite, which somewhat did well, and in Castel for the Raziel engine, because it's a winged beast exceed level 4. So yeah, and then Hysteric Party, which I slipped in because I did not want to not run a Harpie deck without Party, which massively just gets our Harpies to the field, and then we can do all the fancies with our Xyz, our Links, our Synchros, and all of that. So that is pretty much it, guys, for my Harpie deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed. It did take a while to really build this, but like I said, I've been focusing on Rush Duel builds and enjoying playing Rush Duel. But TCG, like I said, we need new support. We want some more back, and that pretty much works for me. Like, even if I can't run Miss Valley Apex Avian, that's fine. Like, if you have to ban the one other monster that goes along and corresponds with some more, fine. But I would love some more back. That's really all I ask for. But thanks everybody for watching. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, as it helps out tremendously. You can hit the notification bell to be informed of when I upload more content to the channel. Social media links are in the description box below. And with that said and done, thanks everyone for watching. HPJ signing out.